Hello and welcome to the DSP Project. I'm your host, Rupert Brown. This week I want to follow up on last week's episode, which was the APC20, the little jam, and just show you the effects and how I've mapped it. Daniel asked you wanted to see how it's done, and so I'm going to explain why and how I've mapped it out the way I have. And then at the end of the screencast I might add a few more comments on mapping and things in general. So let's get started. So I think it's probably easiest to just go through channel by channel. So the first one here we have is the drums channel, and I've thrown in some loops here from the KJ Sawka, I've got the pronunciation right that time, KJ Sawka drum loop set, and I haven't done any processing to these. I've just thrown them straight in. As you would expect, they've all been cut nicely, so you just drop them in and then they just work, so that's nice. On the effects side of things, I've put together an effects rack here. The first one is my drive low pass filter. So we have an ordinary auto filter running a low pass, which is and I've just got control over the frequency map to this first fader here, so you can see that comes down. I've also got an overdrive unit, which is a distortion unit, and I've got some mappings going on here. So if we go into map mode, I've got the drive level mapped, so you can see from 84% to 19% up here. And so if we watch the little knob here, as I bring the slider down, the drive level goes up. So that's like the amount of distortion, how hard it's pushing it. And the reason why I've set it from 18 to 19% is with the 19%, if you have it at 0%, you don't really hear much. So I want to hear the effect kicking in straight away. So that's why I started out at about the 19%, and then 100% is just too much drive. So 84 is sort of nice and as extreme as I want to go at the other end of the spectrum. I've also got the wet and dry mapped here. So the wet and dry map, so that it is basically completely dry at the top. So if the fader's in the up position, then you're not hearing the overdrive unit at all. It's completely bypassed. Then as you bring it down, you get more of the wet signal until you're listening to 100% of the overdrived signal. So what this means is that when it's at the top here, basically there's no effect. It's nice and dry, and as we bring the fader down, we get a nice low pass filter, but then also the overdrive adds a really nice kind of grittiness to it. So if we want to have a listen to that, so you can hear down there, it's like really nice and crunchy and distorted. Which I really like, because because it's a low pass filter, you don't get any sort of nasty high frequencies from that overdrive unit, which can be quite rough. You just get that nice crunchiness. So moving on the next fader, I've got a beat repeater set up. And so let's have a quick look at the mappings here. I've got a repeat button here. So basically what happens when the repeat button goes on the beat repeat is it locks onto whatever audio is going through it at that moment in time. So as soon as you hit repeat, it will just basically repeat that slice. So I've got the mappings here set from 1 instead of 0 to 127. So what that means is that when it's at the very lowest point, that the repeat is off. So in which case the beat repeater is not working, the audio is passing through. So if it's at the bottom, it's not working. Then as soon as I turn it up ever so slightly, then you can see here, turn the map mode off, you can see that the repeat function kicks in. So that's what turns it on. Now let's have a look. I've got the gate settings here set from the grid settings from a quarter to 32, and so that means that as I push the fader up, it's going to become a finer slice. So we get that sort of the faster chopping effect the further the fader goes up. And then finally, I've got volume mapped here. So this is just the volume of the repeated pieces, going from 0 to -5.6. The reason why I've got that is just when you start getting to the really repetitive repeats, it starts sounding very loud. It appears to get audibly quite a bit more quite louder. So by doing that, as I turn it up, it just slightly takes the volume down, which helps kind of getting it to sound a bit more even. So if we can just have a quick demo of what that sounds like. So as you can hear, it's quite fun, and you get quite a lot of control with just one fader there. I can turn that on and off, and changing the amount of cuts, and being able to, I feel, jump around more freely than using a pot, because I can sort of see the exact range that I have, and I can jump to any point in that exact range. So I actually kind of I'm starting to like the faders more for controlling effects like that over using like a pot. So that is the cutting effects, and then on the third one here is just a delay that we've set up. So this one's very simple. So that is basically just mapped to send A, but also you'll notice on send A here, which is just a ping pong delay, that as I turn it up, the send on this return is also going up. So what that basically means is, as send this goes up, it's actually feeding send A, so it's feeding the output of send A back into it, and that's how you get one of the secrets of getting one of the really cool kind of dub style delays, is to feed the output back in. And so that's what's going on there. And I think that pretty much all covers the drum side of things. Hi-hats are just straightforward, I think. Yeah, I've got no effects in there whatsoever, so just a set of hi-hats from that sample collection, and then just using the clip launch to jump in between the different points. And moving over, the Atmos, which is an Alchemy, again, one of my favorite synths. And I've just gone over into note mode button here. So what you'll notice in the video is I've actually got blank clips put in, so I've actually got a set number of bars launched, and when launching another clip, I would have launched the blank clip that I was going to record into. So if we come over here, and so that way I can kind of see here whereabouts I am in the bar, and then I know where to come in. So then I'd move over to note mode. So if I take MIDI overdub off now, I can practice. But it's not until I hit the MIDI overdub will that then be recorded in. And I have once my loop set, so that's now recorded into that clip, so I can just launch that off at any point. Okay, so that's that. Then the next over we have the bass line, which is pretty much the same process again. So as I would have have a blank clip there with a set number of bars. So this has still got the original that original performance from the demo loaded in there, which was the timing was far from awesome, I'll admit, but anyway. And then I'm on this Q level here, just a simple low pass again. And I think that probably about covers it. Oh, there's one other thing. So you can see I've got effects mapped to those three. I wasn't using the fourth fader, but I have actually mapped the last four faders to the volume of the first four tracks. So if I hit shift here, we've got a whole bunch of different settings here for the faders that I covered in the previous video. So you could, rather than using these mappings, I could have just gone through and selected send A, and then used send A to control to control send A on the drums channel. But what I did instead was I went to user mode here and set the configuration that I needed, because I only needed those 8 faders. In fact, I wasn't even using number 4, so I was able to have the volumes and all my effects that I wanted inside of that that one setting. The reason for that being is it's just a lot easier to always have one fader for one control, rather than jumping around to the different fader settings. You could, it depends on how much control you need. So it's nice that it's there, but I was kind of thinking to expand this setup further. It would be quite cool if you were restrained enough to be able to use 4 tracks of audio. Then you've got four faders for your volume, 4 faders for effects, and then basically all these other 4, these rows of 4 on this other side here, could become effects launchers. So you could have, I mean, that's more effects than most people are ever going to need, I think. You could have like a different effect on any one of these pads. When you hard map the effects, it means that this pad will always be that effect. So you'd still be able to use the scroll up and down to work your way through your set, but these would remain constant. So you'd always have whatever it is, your flanger on that pad there. So that's how I laid it out. To be honest though, if I'm doing something for a real performance, I don't actually use like the note mode as it was shown in that video, as far as entering in melodies and things on the fly. I find 2 things. I do find it a bit clunky, the system in live, without having any kind of undo or delete button for the clips or to insert a new clip. It becomes annoying that if you make a mistake, then as far as I can see, you just have to jump down into a fresh clip and go again, without any out of the box way to sort of undo your mistakes. Now, possibly I need to look into it a bit further, which I am going to, but as far as I could see straight away, maybe someone else can help out with that if I'm missing something. But as far as I could see, you've kind of, if you stuff it up, then you've got to jump down to a new clip and start again, which doesn't seem, it's not really ideal. It's kind of nice for if you've got it at home and you're trying to program something like a synth, that maybe you don't have a keyboard or you want another way of entering note information. Then it's kind of nice like that. But yeah, again, for the live thing, I don't think I would use it in that particular way. You could use the note mode as a huge effects board though. So just flip over to note mode, and then you've got basically that whole grid. You could map that to all different effects. So that could be another possibly more useful use for that in a live situation. So that's probably about all I've got to add on that. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week. We'll see what feedback we get. I'm getting closer to the big showdown of the APC20 versus the Launchpad, which I know is something that a lot of you guys want to know about, and there's a lot of questions about it. So I'm trying to figure out how to break it down in the most straightforward and sort of scientific way to explain which is better for what. So anyway, if you do have any questions or something you would like to see on the show, feel free to come down to the dspproject.com. If you're not already here, leave a comment underneath this video, or if you want to email me direct, send a message to inbox@thedspproject.com. And yeah, I think that's about it. I will see you next week.